Will Ospreay, thanks so much for joining Sunsport here today ahead of AEW All In Wembley Stadium on Sunday.
Sunday, August 25th, All in London.
Wembley Stadium.
Will Ospreay vs MJF, the AEW American Championship. I mean, easy question to start off with. How much are you looking forward to being back at Wembley after last year's All In front of that crowd and this time in a title match?
Well, like, even saying going back to Wembley Stadium is a crazy sentence to say. I feel like a lot of high profile, I feel like the high tension now, I feel like there is a lot of eyes on me more than ever before. Like last year I was concerned that there wasn't going to be many people that knew who I was. It was just like they saw the British flag and was like, England. But like this time now I feel like because I'm a full member of the roster, there is like, we've seen your story, we've seen how it's progressed. And after being Cardiff yesterday, that was like, once again, that's, I think it's like 10 or 8% of what is going to be in Wembley. So like I cannot get over how lucky I am to be in this position, and I've just got to knock it out of the park.
I was going to say, we spoke a bit when you arrived about how that reaction was insane, and like you say, that was only a small percentage of what's going to be at Wembley. Are you prepared for that? Are you ready for what that noise is going to be like when you come out of Wembley Stadium?
I'm thinking about it, but I feel like when you think about it, like there's like kind of expectation, so I just kind of want to clear my mind and just go out there and just feel it.
Have you allowed yourself to think about what that moment could be like? Beat MJF, hold the title there in the centre of the ring at Wembley Stadium. Have you allowed yourself to think about what that moment could be like for you?
I mean, absolutely, because I feel like as a pro wrestler, you kind of envision of how you want things to go, and like I can just imagine, because like I can imagine being in the ring, looking to the left and seeing like the royal box. And just trying to see my mum and trying to see my dad and trying to see the missus and everybody there that's coming to support me, and just sitting there and just like all the miles that we've travelled and all the ups and downs in life, and sitting there and saying like I'm a champion for a company that's so well respected and like that people generally want to see succeed. So for me, that's just such an amazing feeling that I couldn't put into words even if I tried.
I was going to say, I feel like I already know the answer to this, but again, you've held titles all around the world. You've held titles here in the UK, in Japan, but holding a big company title at Wembley Stadium, would that be the pinnacle of your career at this point?
At this point, maybe, and like I don't want to overthink it right now, because it is just like, it's one of those ones where like you never know what's going to happen on the night, But like I just got to hope and just pray to whoever's looking after me that everything goes my way, and that at Wembley I'll be walking out not with the American Championship but with the International Championship.
Of course, and again, you've had this great rivalry going with MJF. Obviously the promos you cut in Cardiff, where again it seems like he's just got that little bit of jealousy towards you coming in and sort of becoming the fan favourite straight away, taking that away from him.
Oh boy! Oh! Yes! And look at the security rushing him.
I mean, how much are you looking forward to beating him up on Sunday?
After everything that's happened, man, it's just high time that MJF got put in his place. Like after what's happened with Daniel Garcia, what he'd done to Carl Fletcher, just throwing the International Championship in the bin and then coming over to England and hitting one of my greatest rivals, Michael Oku, with my move, the Tiger Driver. It's got to the point where it's building up, and I still got like lumps on my head from the Diamond Ring from Wednesday, and it's now time to just really stand up and just do whatever it takes at Wembley Stadium.
And obviously you're someone who's used to like doing whatever it takes to get that win. I mean, we talked a bit about in the Anatomy of a Pro Wrestler about you in terms of like that sort of like fear of responsibility you might have had in the past. I mean, how was sort of the last 12 months shaped you, not just in the ring, but in terms of that mentality, in terms of changing who you are mentally as a person to be ready for this moment?
Well, it all stemmed, man, because like, I mean, I remember when I came into AEW, right, like quote unquote I was a bad guy, and then coming into Wembley, but like there was like meaning behind like my anger and my aggressions, because like I did see guys that were above me and that were making way more money, had way more exposure, but like I knew in my heart like I was one of the best in the world. So after beating Chris Jericho, like the first ever AEW World Champion with all the lineage that he had, beating him in Wembley Stadium, like I knew from there like things were about to drastically change. So I went out and I sourced out the world. I knocked on everybody's door. I went to Canada, I went to America, I went to Japan. I went all over the world. I knocked on the door and said, call out your toughest guy. I whooped them in front of their family and just kept making a name for myself over and over again. So by the time November came around in 2023, and I said that I'm making a statement, I'm signing with AEW, it was about just coming in and changing the perspective, changing the culture from with inside AEW, and really pushing this whole sentence that AEW is where the best wrestle. And right now, I thoroughly believe in my heart of hearts, and like that goes for everyone that calls themselves the best in the world, right? And Bryan Danielson's been doing it for 25 years. Right now, I feel in my heart of hearts, I'm the best wrestler in the world, and I'm not from Japan, I'm not from America, I'm not from Canada, where they've held these people like Bret Hart, The Rock, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, Kazuchika Okada, Masawa, Kenta Kobashi. Like, we've held all of them to the highest regard of they were the best wrestler in the world. We have never looked at our country as the best wrestler in the world. I'm making a stand and a statement here on Sunday that the best wrestler in the world comes from this island.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And again, we spoke about before we started rolling about the sort of the British scene as it is at the minute, in terms of the talent that we've got here, the talent pool that's currently coming up like through the ranks. And again, a weekend like this where you've got all the indie shows running over the weekend as well, like it's the closest, I guess, and last year as well, obviously, that we've had so far to like a proper WrestleMania weekend with all these indie shows running. I mean, as someone who's from here, who's grown up here, who's grown up around this scene, how huge is that for British wrestling? How delighted does that make you to see how all these companies are thriving and the talent that they're bringing through, who one day might go on to also be part of big companies?
Honestly, it fills me with so much pride, man, because I do believe we created like a little wrestling fandom here. I mean, because obviously like the competition was always, like they're the competition, do you know what I mean? Like they're the mecca of what wrestling is, and finally we've created an alternative, right? But like we've created like a whole scene full of so many talented individuals that are now getting more and more opportunity because British wrestling has now like flourished and shown, and like there's guys over in New Japan that are like crushing it. There's guys over in TNA that are crushing it, in Ring of Honor, in AEW, CMLL. Robbie X has literally just won their big trophy over there. There's literally so much going on right now and so much to get excited about.
Final question for you, Will Ospreay. Sort of like just a final plug for the event. If anyone's watching this and somehow hasn't got their ticket yet and wants to come along and check out the show, why should they come along to All In? Why should they come along to check Will Ospreay winning the AEW International Championship at Wembley Stadium?
When I was 14 years old, my mum and dad bought me a wrestling ring and put it in their back garden. And they were called the neighbours from hell because they thought they were running underground boxing events. We had the police show up at our door and we was like, no, we're just wrestlers. They came into my garden, touched the ring and was just like, yeah, okay, and walked off. And from there, I've wrestled in youth halls, opposite Tesco, car parks. I have wrestled in social men clubs where the projection screen was here, so you couldn't even do a suplex on someone without breaking something. I've travelled up and down this country, bled, cried, sweat. I've travelled all the way over to Japan. I found out things about myself that I never would have imagined that was true. And I've loved every single bit about finding out who I am as a person. Sunday, I should say, in front of my entire family that have seen me go for this journey. This is about a dream that I had when I was so young, and I didn't think it was possible because to be of this star, of this caliber, you got told you had to move over to the United States. I still live in Essex to this day. I got on the C2C, I got on the Jubilee line to come down here. I have never felt more in my life that I have grown and matured as a person and ready for the responsibility. This is about a boy living out his dream, and this isn't just about wrestling. If you guys are interested in anything, it's just about going for it, because I've done that. I've done this at the expense of my own money, at the expense of my own wallet. I've just done this with a dream, and I'm here now going for a major championship in the most iconic stadium in the UK. This is about showing that dreams can come true if you really do work on it. And I just want everyone to come and support it.